Air Canada found itself in the middle of a raging media storm today. 10-year-old Tanner Bond, who has terminal muscular dystrophy, flew Air Canada to New York yesterday for a charity event in his honor. But when he and his family landed at LaGuardia, his electric wheelchair was in pieces, and Tanner can't get around without it.
That's a clip from the CBC program Connect. Tanner Bond's wheelchair was broken on a flight earlier this month. Air Canada told his family they would have to wait days for a replacement. The boy's aunt then vented her frustrations on Twitter, and before long, hundreds of people were criticizing the airline in their tweets. Air Canada eventually issued a public apology to the boy's family and offered them a trip to Disney World. It's an incident that has many wondering if the airline would have responded differently if the news hadn't gone viral. John Larsen is with Corpin Group, a Calgary-based PR firm. He's been joining us this summer to peel back the lid on corporate crisis management. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Jennifer.
So how significant has the rise of social media, how significantly has it affected corporate responsibility, do you think?
More and more every day. It's a big deal. It's interesting. We look this week, for example, some of us may have heard that North Korea has now jumped in with both feet into the social media realm, albeit for all the wrong reasons, but it just shows the impact of this particular medium. And I think if we, as you say, peel it back a bit and we look more locally here in terms of some of our corporations, we remember not too long ago Delta Airlines when they damaged this fellow's guitar, and he made up a song about it and he put it out there. And in the course of 10 days, this fellow got 3 million hits. And you might say, so what? Well, it actually did change the way Delta now does things. It changed the way they communicate about things, but more importantly, it changed their policies around how they handle luggage and how they respond to those types of customer complaints.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, it gives people an awfully big forum for their complaints, doesn't it? How do people, or how do companies rather, know if and how they should engage in social media?
Well, there's really two questions they have to ask. One is, how do we monitor this? And then the second is, how do we engage that? And the question of monitoring isn't that bad. There are a lot of systems out there that are technologically enabled and facilitated so you can monitor what's being said about you in the social media realm. More importantly, though, is what do you do about that? How do you engage? And that really is determined by sort of the degree of customer interaction you want. A really good example is Dell. A couple of years ago, Dell was caught up in a big blog war, and they said, you know what? We don't respond to bloggers. Now, they respond to bloggers. They do a lot more than just respond. They actively invite people in to solicit opinions using the social media network and whatnot, and they've actually been praised for it. So it really does make a huge difference. At the end of the day, companies need a strategy. That strategy is there to help develop advocates. That strategy is there to help sort of with issues management, and also it can move products if they do it right.
It must be very difficult, though, for corporations to keep up because social media is constantly changing. Yeah. Should they jump on everything that comes along? Whatever the latest thing is, whether it's Twitter or something else?
No, they shouldn't, and in fact, they can't. What they need to do is have a strategy, like I say, that mobilizes those different things, that part of their business plan. And in terms of actually doing it, one of the things about social media is you literally can't just sort of jump in overnight. You have to have sort of networks already established. You have to have people talking about you. You have to find a way. You have to have a way that people can find you. So if somebody's interested in using this, they have to start thinking about it now, and then slowly getting in there and building that network up so that they can use it, across the board.
It does seem like if you do social media badly, that's almost worse than not getting into it at all. It's like having a bad web page.
Absolutely.
You go to a company, you see that they've got not a great web page. It gives you a bad impression of the corporation. Would they be better just to stay out of it if they can't do it well?
Yeah, I would advocate that, but I also think the other side to this is not doing it at all really isn't an option either. So I think people have to look at it as a way to get in there, determine why they need to do it, and then get the support they need to do it right.
Do you have some examples of the good, the bad, and the ugly? Who does it well, who doesn't do it well?
Well, that's a difficult question because it's as you say, it's consistently changing. It's evolving all the time. But a couple of years ago, we saw Walmart got itself into all kinds of trouble because they sent people out. They were supposed have bloggers to blog about them, and they were fake people. They weren't the real people that they said they were, and so they loaded these people up on the social media network, and they were discovered. There have been other examples as well. I think more recently, and we got to stop picking on them one day. But poor BP, BP was heavily criticized for actually going out and buying a bunch of search terms, so that when people would want to find out information about the oil spill, they were directed to BP's PR page. So, they can be used effectively, but if you overdo it, then the criticism can backfire on you as well. Having said that, other companies have done a great job. Starbucks, heavily engaged in social media. They even go so far as to everyday people can just engage with them and say, this is what I think of your product, this is how I think you should change your product, and they do it. And Domino's Pizza recently faced a really big sort of food tampering issue, and the president went out and he did a YouTube video, not unlike Maple Leaf Foods, and it was very, very well accepted.
What would you say are the big social media trends at the moment?
The big trend in one word is engagement. It's about using social media so that you can engage with people. And the reason for that is social media is not so much a way to put out information as it is to monitor people's reaction to that information. We're in an age now where people don't take the corporate voice as legitimately as they did in the past. They take their colleagues' voice. It's all about pure credibility. And that's what social media is about. So when a company puts out information, it needs to be out there monitoring the social media sphere, see what people are saying to each other about a particular movie, about a particular product, about a particular response.
John, thanks again for coming in.
Absolutely. Thank you.
John Larsen, he is with the Calgary firm Corpin Group. It specializes in corporate crisis management, and he'll be back next week. He's with us for the rest of the summer.